Hello everyone and welcome to my preview for the April 20th edition of AEW Dynamite. I am of course your host, Ms Dynamite herself, Stephanie Chase, and I'm going to be previewing this week's card, giving you a rundown of the matches and maybe even some predictions. We are coming off another excellent Dynamite that opened with Hangman Page versus Ricky Starks. We then had a fantastic women's title match between Tai Conti and Hikaru Shida, and the match closed with Darby Allin defending his TNT Championship against Jungle Boy. This week the card is also stacked, and once again Darby Allin will be in action defending that TNT Championship. But before we get to this week's Dynamite, I have some very exciting news to share with you because a lot of great things are coming up on this channel. Tomorrow night, Thursday, 10 p.m. UK time, it is my live 1,000 subscribers celebration stream party. I'm going to be having a drink live with you guys. I'm going to be answering any questions you might have for me, whether they be about wrestling or anything else, and I am going to have some very special guests that I know you're all going to love. So click on that link in the description box of this video, set your reminders for tomorrow night, and join me for the party. And that's not all, because next Wednesday it's Blood and Guts, and I will be hosting a Blood and Guts pre-show on this channel. It will be live 1 hour before Dynamite, and I have a very, very exciting guest joining me, and I will be revealing their identity live during tonight's Dynamite after the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle have their parlay. So if you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Turn on those notifications so you can be the first to know when a new video drops. And of course, if you, like me, love AEW, join me live here on this channel every Friday at 11:30 p.m. UK time for AEW Weekly, where we will discuss the weeks happening in AEW and also do a deep dive into Dynamite. And also make sure you're following me on Twitter at Stephanie M Chase. That is where tonight I will be announcing my Blood and Guts special guest. So let's get into this week's Dynamite, and let's start off with a massive trios match as the Nightmare Family's Dustin Rhodes, Lee Johnson, and Billy Gunn take on the Factory's QT Marshall, Aaron Solo, and Nick Comoroto. So last week on Dynamite, QT Marshall defeated Billy Gunn thanks to some assistance from his Factory stablemates, most notably Nick Comoroto. And after the match, Dustin Rhodes ran out and he hit Nick Comoroto over the head with a wooden chair, but it didn't seem to faze him much. This week, both teams are looking for revenge as this feud between the Factory and the Nightmare Family really heats up. But I've got to say, the person I'm most looking forward to seeing in this match is Lee Johnson. Just a month ago, Lee Johnson was still teaming with QT Marshall. But we have to remember, earlier this year when he made his Dynamite debut teaming with Cody Rhodes and he got the pinfall, after the match he thanked everyone except QT Marshall, which really could have been the instigator to this whole QT Marshall break from the Nightmare Family and forming his own faction. I do think the Factory are going to win this match just because we're really waiting for the return of Cody, aren't we, to kind of get this feud really, really going. And I think that the Nightmare Family are going to suffer a few losses along the way to Cody's return. And the Factory, they'll get the win, but it will probably be by devious means. I could see maybe Anthony Ogogo getting involved and delivering some kind of knockout punch to one of the members of the Nightmare Family. Speaking of faction feuds, I am absolutely loving the feud between the Best Friends and the Death Triangle. And this week, Penta will be taking on Orange Cassidy. Last week, of course, it was Trent who stepped in the ring with Penta. Penta won the match, but that was thanks to his spokesperson, kind of manager, Alex Abriantes. He attacked Trent with the microphone, which allowed Penta to get the win. And also before that, we saw Penta take out Orange Cassidy with a super kick. Who's going to win this match? It's a hard one to predict because Orange Cassidy has a really good singles record in AEW, but Penta's Penta. Penta is a hard guy to beat. But I think this time, we're going to do a bit of 50-50 booking and maybe give the win to the Best Friend side. But what I hope from this feud is that it's leading to some kind of massive DQ match, like the parking lot brawl that the Best Friends had with Santana and Ortiz, or the Arcade Anarchy match that they had with Miro and Kip Sabian. I just love the Best Friends feuding with Death Triangle. These teams are so opposite, and it works so well. Speaking of the Best Friends, we have another member of the team in action, as Kris Statlander will be taking on Penelope Ford. Of course, Kris Statlander made a shock surprise return during the Arcade Anarchy match, and she took out Penelope Ford with some plexiglass. So there's a lot of bad blood between these two women, and it goes pretty far back. Penelope Ford was involved in the last two matches Kris Statlander had before she tore her ACL, which had her out for months. She was, of course, Chris's opponent at Double or Nothing, and then it was on Dynamite in a multi-woman match that Kris suffered that devastating injury. I think this is going to be a really great match. I think Kris Statlander, since her return, she's come back better than ever. And I would point you all to the YouTube video that AEW put up a couple of days ago about this Dynamite, where you see Kris Statlander cut a very naughty promo on Penelope Ford. I think she's been taught a lot of bad words by those boys in the Best Friends. And I think Kris Statlander is going to be the one that picks up the win. The other thing I would say about this match is it looks like it's probably going to be the return of Kip Sabian. We haven't seen him since Arcade Anarchy. I imagine he's going to be out in Penelope's corner. And who's looking for Kip Sabian? Miro. So if I was Kip, I'd be watching my back. Next up, the tag team champions, the Young Bucks, will be taking on the Seidel brothers, Matt and Mike, in a tag team championship eliminator match. If the Seidel brothers are successful, they will get a tag team title match. This is very like what happened to Matt Seidel a few weeks ago, where he had a world title eliminator match against Kenny Omega to see if he could get a shot at the championship. Spoiler alert, he didn't. This time around, I'd like to see the Seidel brothers pick up the win here, because it kind of, I don't know, feels a bit pointless if they don't. Like, they're not going to go on and win the tag team championship, but maybe something could happen. Maybe we'll see some interference by Moxley and Kingston or something that lets the Seidel brothers get that pin over the Young Bucks. And I think that would be really good to spice up the whole tag team championship scene, which, because we're doing such a big story right now between the Young Bucks, the Good Brothers, Kenny, Moxley, and Kingston, it feels like it's been kind of a little bit lost and left behind. But I'm really looking forward to this match. Young Bucks are great. I love heel Young Bucks. The Seidel brothers are awesome as well. And let's not forget to note that on Sunday, Kenny Omega became the Impact World Champion. So we will see if anything happens to that on this week's Dynamite, because yes, the belt collector has collected more gold. And next up, we have Darby Allin, who is once again putting his TNT Championship on the line, this time against the Dark Order's Preston 10 Vance. So previously, Darby defended the TNT Championship against John Silver, and unfortunately, Silver was injured in this match. This time, Darby, once again, he's paying tribute to the greatest TNT champion, Mr. Brody Lee, by giving another guy from the Dark Order a shot. It is Ten who has stepped up. Ten is, of course, the member of the Dark Order who teamed with Cody and Orange Cassidy on the Brody Lee tribute show. I think Ten is a really good another opponent for Darby. It is so nice to see him defending against members of the Dark Order, getting the Dark Order more involved in this scene, and I think it's going to be a really good match. I really like 10 a lot. I really just like the camaraderie of the Dark Order, but I think it's going to be a match that, quite like the match with Jungle Boy last week, once it ends, and Darby, of course, wins, there's going to be respect between the two guys, and then we're going to see some other guys that have problems with Darby running out, and I think it's going to be Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky again, because I think the real direction here that we're going to is an Ethan Page Darby Allin match. And finally, speaking of the Dark Order, their best friend and ally, Hangman Page, is going to be taking on Team Taz's Brian Cage. Now, last week, Hangman Page defeated Ricky Starks. After the match, Taz told him that he got lucky, and then he told Page to watch his back as he was attacked by a hook, and then Brian Cage came out to set up for a powerbomb, but the Dark Order ran out to make the save. I said last week that I really wanted some direction for Hangman Page, and that I was really all in a feud between Hangman Page and any of the members of Team Taz. So I think this is very cool that he's getting a shot against Brian Cage. This is one of those matches though, because of what we have going on with Darby, and he's taking on members of the Dark Order. Then we have the Dark Order involved in what Hangman Page is doing. And then there's Team Taz. There's many directions for these factions that's going on at once. And I think we're looking at what is the clear road as we build towards Double or Nothing. So as I said, I'd love to see a Hangman Page Dark Order Team Taz feud, but he's taking on Brian Cage here now. So I'm kind of not sure who the final boss is, so to speak, for Hangman Page. But I'm expecting this match to be really good. I think the win will go to Brian Cage as a bit of an upset. And I think it's another match where there's going to be a lot going on afterwards. I wouldn't be surprised if all the members of Team Taz come out, including Will Hobbs, and then we get maybe Christian come out, and we could see something between Christian and Page aligning against Team Taz. Or just maybe the final boss of Team Taz is Hook. Who knows? Also on this week's Dynamite, as I said earlier, the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle are going to have a parlay where they kind of set out the rules and everything ahead of their Blood and Guts match next week. We'll see what goes down here. I'm so excited for the Blood and Guts show. It looks like it's going to be a one-match show, which I think is really, really cool. And I'm going to tell you guys once again, make sure you set those reminders for my pre-show so you can join me the hour before Dynamite next week. But that's all from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, share it on Twitter, subscribe to my channel, and I will tell you again to join me tomorrow night for my 1,000 subscribers live stream party. Special guest. Think of what you've always wanted to ask me, and ask me while I have a little bit of the bubbly to celebrate hitting that milestone on YouTube. And yes, next week there'll be no preview video because we will be having a Blood and Guts pre-show party. So don't forget to join me for that. Set your reminders, and I will see you next week.